Let's get into a little bit of shit. Greetings, my friends. How are you? Welcome to the Out of Tune Podcast. I'm Rick. I am going to be around for just a little while. Man, my schedule's screwed up. It's totally screwed up, and it's going to be that way until the end of October, maybe beyond. Do you have that? Is like October like the worst month for you when things start happening? As soon as the fall starts kicking in, I get all kinds of... if you look at my calendar for October, it's like every day there's a little dot showing that I got something to do. It's insane, but I love it. October's my favorite time of the year, and so it's great. I get to do a lot of events. Already did one this weekend. Went down to the East Atlanta Strut. If you don't know what that is, East Atlanta is kind of what do we say? Alternative. I'm going to call it alternative. It's a fun place, creative, a lot of restaurants, a lot of interesting people, but it's a young kind of alternative kind of culture there, and that's what makes it really fun. I don't even know what I mean by alternative. Actually, I kind of do, but I don't want to explain it. I just want to say it. Me and Sherry Brown went to hang out. We watched the parade. We had some coffee. We looked at vendors. We tried to get food. We sat down in a place for about almost 20 minutes, and not one person came out and asked us if they could serve us. It was crazy. A lot of people going. Then I left. I left Sherry. She said, I'll walk home. I'm fine. And so she stayed there till late and chopped all of her hair off. What? Yeah, she shaved her head. That's alternative culture right there. So whatever, that's what people do. That's what the kids do. Sherry's a kid. She's a 50-year-old kid. But anyway, oops, I said her age on the podcast. Maybe I shouldn't have. So how are you doing? How are you feeling? How are things working for you? Let me give you a quick warning here. Now, I've mentioned this. I'll probably mention it more as we go along. I'm doing a storytelling festival here in where I live, Stone Mountain, Georgia. There's a little festival going on. In fact, if you're around throughout October, come on by. It's called Tour of Southern Ghosts. It's Southern Ghost Stories. A lot of fun. The environment's really cool, like an old time. It's like being on the set of Little House on the Prairie. Do you know what that is? That's what it's like. It's really fun. And you get to go from place to place and listen to Southern Ghost Stories. A lot of fun. I get to do one of my own. I wrote it. And but when I'm telling the story, I'm using my authentic Tennessee accent, and rehearsing that for weeks now, and getting ready to do it for an entire month. I'm just saying, you're probably going to notice my Tennessee accent coming out even more than you might have noticed it in the past. I'm trying not for that to happen, but, after a while, it's just inevitable. It's like when I've done just Shakespearean shows, you just start breaking out in the, English accent or whatever. So be prepared. You'll hear me kind of do a little twang. East Tennessee, a lot of people don't realize East Tennessee is not a Southern accent. It's an Appalachian accent. So there's a big difference. But anyway, you'll hear me probably do that a lot. Speaking of big hurricanes and, towns wiped out in especially North Carolina. It's crazy. A hurricane wipes out a North Carolina town, not even on the coast. Isn't that bizarre? But yeah, I think we all knew it was going to be coming up this way. We expected a little big, even a bigger impact than what we got in Atlanta. We expected it, but it didn't hit. It didn't happen. No, my wife and I were in bed. It was supposed to. The hurricane itself was supposed to come through probably around 3:30 in the morning. So we were prepared for power failures and trees down and all the stuff. Barely happened. You could kind of hear rain and you could kind of hear wind. No lightning, thunder, really. happen, but we heard a lot of stuff hitting the roof. So I figured I would wake up and there would be like tons of branches and things on our roof. Nothing. There was like pine cones. I don't know why it sounded like a lot big boulders hitting our roof, but nothing happened really. And so it moved on up. It went through Atlanta. Now there are sections of Atlanta that got flooded and got wiped out, and some trees and everything. So we were lucky, but there were a lot of people who weren't. And then it went on up. So southern Georgia got a lot of it, and then it moved on up. And the spinning action of the hurricane, you know, part of the hurricane kind of spun over to the left side and went up into Tennessee, Nashville area. The other side spun over and went into North Carolina. And that was the roughest part. You could see if you looked at the little weather radar thing, you could see the little area where it was spinning. The heavier, the area where there's more rain, the red area, the scary area, went up into western North Carolina. And I mean, it just demolished towns and cities, and Asheville's underwater, and other cities are just, I don't know how they're going to survive. They do like everybody. They end up surviving, but it's not going to be easy. So, you know, if you can, spare some money, help them out, donate if you can. I hear they need water. Go buy some water, send it to them. Buy just bottled water. Think about if it was you, what you would want, what you would need. I don't know. I know that a hurricane came through Atlanta, let's say 6 years ago, maybe. I don't remember which one it was. But we had a power failure for like 3 days, and we were griping about it. We kept our house. So I don't know what do you do? Like, can you imagine you're just living, everything's normal? You're not really preparing because it's a hurricane down in Florida. You're not in the mountains of North Carolina? No. And then all of a sudden, boom, there it is. And you don't have a house. You don't have a business. Your business is gone. Your house is gone. What can you imagine that? What would you do? What would you need? What would you want? What would you need to survive? Those are the things that the people need. Think about it. If you can donate anything, if you could spare money, if you could spare things, if you could go out and buy some stuff and send it, I think it's probably worth doing. Water, I hear, baby stuff is necessary. Just general people stuff. Help them out if you can. I have a thing going on where I don't have money. I'm not a rich man. I don't. I'm an artist. What I do is make art. And so the only time I ever have money is if I sell art. So I have a piece, and it's a piece of Popcorn Sutton, who was if you don't know who he was a famous, well-known moonshiner from North Carolina. And I did a portrait of him a couple years ago, and I've had it hanging in the gallery for a while. It's been in a couple of galleries, and it's currently in a gallery. It's a 4 foot by 4 foot painting, so it's a big painting. And I've got it on sale right now. If you buy it, 100% of the profits from that I am donating to disaster relief. And it's you can find, if you're interested, it might be something a business would like to buy to hang up. I think it would be great in a bar, because he's a moonshiner, you know, like a bar or a museum or something like that. Anyway, I will try to post there. You can find a picture of it on my Facebook studio page, Rick Baldwin Studio. Just go there and see it. You can click and find out all the information, how much it'll cost, how you can buy it, all that kind of stuff. So if you do that, you get a painting, and essentially you're donating all of the money to rescue and disaster relief. Think about it. Might be something that you really, really want to do. Okay. I really want to help people, but I also don't want to go too far into it to where, I don't know, it's not, should you feel bad about it? Should you feel depressed? Should you know, I think we should be aware of it. I mean, that's family up there. It is. I have family lives there. I live there. Asheville. I have friends still in Asheville. So So help out. Okay, I am going to move on though. Here's something I want to talk about. This doesn't affect everyone. It may not affect you, but I think we all at some time in our life get called upon to learn stuff, right? Doing this storytelling thing that I'm doing, I have to memorize a story. Now, here's the thing. In college, my major was theater. So I learned how to memorize. I learned lots of techniques, and I did several plays, many plays. And then after I got out of college, I did many plays in other situations. I did some stuff with professional theater, did some stuff amateur, kids theater, everything. I did stand up. A lot of people think that you're making stuff up in stand up. Some of it might be that, but for the most part, you are memorizing your routine, your stand up, your entire stand up routine. It's usually something you wrote out, and you're memorizing. So memorization, it was something that was always a part of my life. I was good at it. I learned how to do it pretty quick. I never liked it, but it's just part of the job. And then I quit doing theater for a long time. For most of the past 20 years, I haven't done theater really. And then last year when I was asked to do the storytelling festival, I had to do memorization again, and it was difficult. It was the hardest part of the whole thing, and it just getting to the point where I realized how I want to say how old my brain is. Is that fair? There are some people. I mean, there are older people who do theater and acting who they're good at memorization. They still can do it. Some people into their 80s and 90s still keep a sharp brain. I don't think I'm going to be that person. Man, I think my brain, my memorization, my memory is going so fast. You know, I'm going to be, I don't know if I'm going to have dementia. Maybe I am. It doesn't really run in my family, but I think my grandmother had Alzheimer's, late Alzheimer's, which I don't even know if that's really Alzheimer's, but she got a little bit of dementia. It's just a tiny bit. That's all I want is a tiny bit. But I'm starting early at my age. I don't know. I need to take some. I need to go get checked on, right? But I feel like my memorization skills are gone. They're going. I'm not going to be. It's a good thing I didn't choose acting as a career. So this year I have to memorize a brand new story. Even though I wrote it, I still have to memorize it. And I feel like, in some ways it was easier than last year, just a little bit. But in other ways, it's not. Last year was really quick. I didn't get asked to be a part of the festival until like a week before, and I had to write it and memorize really quick. And it was very kind of difficult, but I did it. This one I was asked much farther in advance, so I was able to write it, and I've been memorizing and working on it for weeks now. So I've got the memorization down, but the weird thing is now just when my memory wants to fail, like when I'm telling the story, just things when I thought I had it, like I can't, sometimes just the lead character, the name of the main character would just not come out of my head. And this is consistent with my life because, like a friend, I won't be able to remember their name. Sometimes, I shouldn't say this, but sometimes I can't even remember my wife's name. That I don't call her by name all the time. I don't need to. She's right there. Just start talking to her. So there's no reason to actually refer to her by name. But if I am going to say her name, sometimes it's just not right there, Should I get checked on? I think I should. But it's just like with life, I'll just be talking about something, and for whatever reason, it's like I can't remember the word coffee. I was like, I know that word. Why is it not coming out of my head? Do you have that experience? I don't know. I think everybody kind of has it, but it's frustrating. And when you get older, you get it worse. So I'm telling a story that I've told like over and over and over. And then all of a sudden I can't remember a word. and it makes me so mad. I have to say the word coffin in the story, and for whatever reason, my brain occasionally wants to feed me the word funeral, and then I just get really confused. It's some kind of weird brain thing. It's something that happens I don't have to explain it to you if you're old. If you're young, you won't get it until you get there. So it's kind of stupid to talk about it. I'm just warning you, young people. And old people, I'm just saying, I understand. So, what do you do to memorize? I'm going to give you some of my techniques of memorization in case you need to memorize anything. Obviously, doing it over and over and over and over and over is the best thing to do. Repetition is the best way to memorize anything. So if you have to memorize a speech, if you have to memorize something from a poem, anything from church, business, whatever, repetition is the number one thing to do. Now, what I like to do when I'm doing the repetition is I'll read it over and over and over. And then you start realizing after a while that you kind of got some of it down. So you can hold your script and say it without looking at it. And then if you need to look at it, you can just kind of pull it up and look at it really quick. But the more that you could do it without the script, the better. Now, what I found out is in theater, you have a night that's called off book. And that's when the first time that you put your script down. Okay, you're off book, the book being the script. And it's hellish. It's one of the nightmares in theater. But what I found out is, for me anyway, everybody's technique is different. But for me, first night off book sucks. It's hard. It's the worst. I can't remember anything. Then I go home and I sleep. And then I get up the next day. And it's almost like somehow overnight, magically, all that stuff comes into my head. And I can remember things the next day that I couldn't remember the previous day. It's not logical, but that's how it happens. And I found out, even doing the rehearsing for this story, it's the same way. The first time I really try to do it without being on a script, it will be really bad. And then I'll just put it down. I won't think about it. I'll just do something totally different. And then the next day, after I sleep, the next day, for whatever reason, so much more of it is in my brain. And I tend to learn that way with a lot of things for some reason, sleeping on it. And then I was doing some research online and I found like that's an actual technique. They say is sleeping on it sometimes will take short-term memory and turn it into long-term memory. So that's a good technique. Now, another technique that you do in theater is what they call speed through, which is just doing it really, 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 really fast. And you could do that while you're reading the script, but it's best to do it when you're not reading a script, because the faster you do it, you're not thinking about your lines. The lines are just kind of coming out really, really quick. So doing a speed through is really, really valuable. But what I like to do with the speed through is I like to change inflections. I like to change the any kind of spaces that might kind of naturally be in between words or thoughts or phrases or whatever. I like to switch those up. But inflections, I like to read the lines differently. I like to kind of really push something out that I don't normally push out, because that kind of thing will really mess you up in your memorization, because you tend to memorize like certain patterns. Story that I'm doing right now has some laughter, and that's what I can't fake that. So I don't have anybody around to laugh. So that's where I'm going to get thrown off, I guess. Thrown up too. Thrown off is when laughter happens. I think it's going to mess me up. So, well, that'll be like the last thing that I have to watch out for. So those are some tips to memorize. Okay. Also, like once you get it down to where you've just really got it memorized really well, don't forget, like, first thing in the morning and last thing at night, do a complete read through of the script. Not a memorization, but a complete read through. And to me, that always helps. It kind of grounds me back into the text, and it helps me to remember those things that maybe I forgot. Sometimes I'll look at something and go, oh, I haven't even been saying that line. Totally forgot that was there. So it's good to kind of pull that out and help you to get back on the script. That is important. All right. I don't know how many people that might help, but you never know when you're going to be needing to memorize something. Okay. One of the things, there's really no drug that's going to help you memorize. There's no drug. I was reading about memorization and things to help your memory as you get old. Some people say ginkgo or whatever. I've read that none of that stuff has been proven to help at all. There's no scientific evidence for any of it. I don't really know, other than the fact that maybe the drug or herbal people push it. I don't know how it gets started that it's a help. But anyway, they a lot of them say that it is. All right. There's no scientific evidence that any drug is going to help you. So whoever says that maybe there is, just realize they're probably lying. But here's the thing: if there was, do you watch shows all the time when these drug commercials come on? This is kind of a new thing, because when I was a kid, they didn't advertise any drugs, and now every few commercial is a drug commercial. And I'm very interested in the way that they name the drugs. Some of the drug names are really, I would say, dopey. Used to drug names are kind of cool. But now I think some of them are, I don't know. I think maybe the people who are actually naming the drugs aren't doing a very good job. I don't know. Do you think maybe that's true? Do you even know what I'm talking about? Well, look at this. All right, I'm going to mention some drugs here. This was the other day. Wegovy. That's a dumb name for a drug. Wegovy. Doesn't even sound like a drug. It sounds like a carnival ride. Hey, we got on the Wegovy. It was great. Rinvoq. That's what happens to your driver's license. My driver's license got revoked last night. Oh, Tesla is kind of cool. I can dig with that. All right. I don't even know. I've never said that statement before. I can dig with that. But I'm going to stick with that. I kind of like it. I can dig with it. So that's what I'm talking about. Some of them just, I don't know. They don't sound like drug names anymore. So I started doing some research on what happens. And what I discovered is some of these drug companies pay companies millions of dollars to name their drugs. I want that job. How do I get that job? Is there a is it like an advertising company? Is there a company that's specifically made just to name drugs? Because that is totally the job I would like. I would like to own that business. All right. So here's what I found. Pharmaceutical companies, they'll pay outside agencies hundreds, even thousands, even millions of dollars to develop a name for the product. Now, the process starts several years before the company submits a drug. So I'm wondering if, I guess they have to know, they're like, oh, we're going to have a drug for kidney something in 5 years. So start working on the name. Or did they just say, give us 10 names and we'll put them to whatever drug we want? I don't know how it is. It's kind of like that thing for songwriters. Like, do you do the lyrics first, song first? So is it like, did the name come first, then the drugs? I don't know. But the company submits the names for approval. And despite all the money and effort, many of the drugs names they suggest are rejected. And they're rejected by the Food and Drug Administration, the European Medicines Agency, for several reasons. They could be rejected. You could pay somebody $1 million. I'm going to call your drug Zenzafar. And then for whatever reason, Zenzafar, don't steal that, by the way, drug companies. That's my patent. I will sell it to you for, we'll talk about a figure. Zenzafar. Ask your doctor if you're right for Zenzafar. So the general rules are, it can't sound or look like any other drug product, okay? Which that could if it did, it could result in a misprescription. Okay, so that's a safety issue. The name can't make any medical claims. Can't, that's self-evident, or be overly promotional. What is that? I mean, I don't know what that means necessarily. The name of the drug can't serve to broaden indication, minimize risk, or misleadingly imply uniqueness or superiority. For example, the FDA rejected the name Novorapid, which is a type of insulin, because it implied it was faster acting than its competitors. The name was changed to Novolog. Novolog. A name can't guarantee efficiency either, which explains why the hair regrowth product Rogaine couldn't be sold over with the name Regain. So they couldn't call it Regain, but they can call it Rogaine. A name can be rejected merely for just being too fanciful. Wow. So isn't that interesting? Now, here's a couple of things that I found very interesting. The name can be associated with a positive word, such as victory, like the diabetes drug Victoza. I thought that was named after Vic Tayback, but that's just me. It could be tied to a word implying what it does, like levitate or levitra, which is for erectile dysfunction. It's levitating you know what I'm saying. Or when it's used like Luna, French for moon, and Lunestra, which is for insomnia. See how it works? Letters X, Y, and Z often appear in the brand names because they give the drugs a high-tech, sciencey sounding name. I've already forgot mine. Zin, I don't even know what mine was, but mine had a Z in it. That's why I can't sell. Like Xanax, Xyrem, Zosyn. Conversely, H, J, and W are sometimes avoided because they sound difficult to pronounce in some languages. So pharmaceutical products for women may include S, M, and L to produce a softer sound, like birth control pills Alessa, Yasmin, Seasonale. Seasonale? Okay. It goes on. It's on and on. It's just, I didn't realize there was that much science in it. And because there's so much science, I don't feel like there's any excuse for really bad drug names. And I just feel like there's too many bad drug names. So I really want to call for the Federal Food and Drug Administration to look into really bad names and get rid of them. Okay. That's all I'm going to do today. I hope my Tennessee accent didn't slip out. I hope my erectile dysfunction didn't slip out. I don't even know what that means. I just want to say the word erectile dysfunction as many times on the podcast as I can, because I've never said it before on the podcast before. But your favorite drugs, think about the names. See if you can find a job. See if you can find me a job naming them, because I would really enjoy that. Podcast. How are we doing? I know sometimes I'm not on schedule. I'm going to try to keep it, but it might get worse in October. I'm just warning you. Come see me do it. Come see me tell some stories. All right. Help the folks where you can. Anybody who needs help, because one day it'll be you. You're going to need some help, right? I can't remember which button to push. It's been that long. Is this it? Is this the one? I sure hope so. I'll talk to you in a few days. See you then. Need some beans and rice. That's what I really want right now. Some beans and rice. There should be a drug made with beans and rice. Beans risa. Ask your doctor if beans rice is for you.